Good morning, children. Today we are going to start this new chapter from Workbook, that is Sherlock Holmes. So, this chapter is related with the chapter from the main book, that is The Mask. In The Mask, we have uh, got a story regarding a sort of adventure, a detective kind of story we have got. We have seen how Feluda has uh, try kind of he has tried to solve the case. Now here also we'll be dealing with one such detective character. There will be no solving of any case, but we will get to know about a few tips, or we can say we will get to know about this character. I'm sure you might have heard about this character already, Sherlock Holmes. He is a very famous character, and as you can also see here, it's mentioned that world's most famous detective fiction character. Now let's start talking about this chapter. But before I start, I would tell you that please remember this thing, that the topic which we have, or the information that we have got to know about Sherlock Holmes, is that he is a famous detective. No doubt he is a famous detective. His methods are quite famous, but he is just a character. He is not a live person. So be careful about this thing. So let's start the chapter now. So, in the introductory part, it's given that in the reader, you read about a talented young detective, that was Feluda. We have read about him. Now, we'll read about Sherlock Holmes, the world's most famous detective fiction character. So, fiction character means he was used in the stories. Okay, those fictional stories, he was used as a character. He was this Sherlock Holmes, his character had evolved in those stories. So, that's how he is known to everyone. Now, let's see. On 25th December 1887, a story appeared in Beaton's Christmas Annual written by a struggling doctor who was hoping to add to his income. Now, it's very simple that a doctor, he was struggling in the market to uh, make his income increase. Okay, so he was struggling in the market. He was not that famous doctor, so as he was struggling, so what he did a side business, can be said, or sidewise he wrote this particular collection, that is Beaton's Christmas Annual. And here in this story, the character of Sherlock Holmes had appeared for the first time. Now let's see, the story was well received. So while the doctor wrote the story, it was quite well received by the audience. While it was published, after the writing was over, while it was published, so the audience received it quite well. But the real success was its main character, an eccentric detective called Sherlock Holmes. So, the story was very well, that was famous, no doubt, but the great fame was attracted towards the character of Sherlock Holmes. Now remember one thing, on 25th December 1887, the story appeared and the character of Sherlock Holmes had appeared for the first time. Okay, so he was an eccentric detective called Sherlock Holmes. So he was an eccentric detective and his name was Sherlock Holmes. So here eccentric means a character, or you can say something strange which is not usual, which does not happen in a day to day life, which is not usual in the eyes of people, which seems little different. So he was a detective who was different from others, we can say, or we can say that the usually what kind of deductions or reasoning the detectives usually make, Sherlock Holmes was quite different from that. Okay, so let's get to know something more about that. So Arthur Conan Doyle, Holmes' creator, did not expect him to be a success. Now, the doctor that we were talking about in the first paragraph that wrote the story, this Beat on Christmas Annual, this doctor was this particular person, that is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Now, he was the creator of Sherlock Holmes. Okay, and for the first time when he had written this, or when he had introduced the character of Sherlock Holmes, he did not expect much from the character, neither from the story. He did not expect that while he had written that detective story, so he didn't think, or he did not have any idea that it is going to be successful. Okay, he did not keep any kind of expectation. Rather, see here, in fact, he believed that writing stories about Holmes kept him from greater fame. He thought that maybe this kind of stories which he was writing about this detective and all, this won't make him famous. Okay, this won't let him gain fame. Was that true? Let's see that. Readers disagreed. And when Doyle killed off the character in 1893, now firstly we have known that he wrote about the story, and the author had created the character of Sherlock Holmes, and he kept writing. And what idea he had that he won't be successful or he won't get any fame, that was totally wrong. That proved totally wrong, because while it came in the market, while it was published, the audience received it quite well, and he gained lot of fame and success also. But he thought that he won't be getting any such fame if he continues to write about these kinds of stories. Okay, readers disagreed, and when Doyle, now what he thought, after continuing to write for some time, Arthur Conan Doyle, he thought that he will stop writing about Sherlock Holmes, or he will stop writing about this kind of detective stories. So what he did, he killed off the character in 1893. That means he stopped writing about this stories, this detective stories, and also we can assume that he may have killed the character of Sherlock Holmes, and he maybe opted to something else. He maybe chose some other form of writing. So while he stopped that, here let's see what is written. Why and when Doyle killed off the character in 1893 and moved on to other writing. As I said, he moved to some other kind of writing. He stopped writing detective stories and he moved to some other form of writing. He found no takers. Now, what was the result? While he totally just dived away from his direction, he chose some other direction. He chose some other form of writing. What happened? There was no publisher, and also even if it was published, the audience did not receive it well. The audience did not like it. Okay, there was no admiration towards those kinds of stories. Then what happened? In 1902, Holmes returned. Holmes means Sherlock Holmes returned in The Hound of the Baskervilles and continued his adventures until 1926, 4 years before Conan Doyle's death. That means, as Arthur Conan Doyle had stopped writing about the detective stories and discontinued to create the character of Sherlock Holmes again and again. So what happened? There was no publisher maybe, or maybe we can also assume that the audience were not happy with that. So what he did, as a result of that, as a result of his decision that he made in between, what happened, that it was failing. Okay, he was his fame was getting now lesser. He was not becoming successful. So what he did, he chose again to make Sherlock Holmes return back in his stories. That means he's restarted again to write the stories of detectives, or he brought back the character of Sherlock Holmes in his stories. That's the thing. And where did it come? The collection was named as The Hound of the Baskerville. So while in 1902 he restarted to bring back the character of Sherlock Holmes, this was the name of the collection where the character was rebrought again. Okay, it was brought back again. And he continued to write the same form of writing till 1926. Okay, 4 years before Conan Doyle's death. That means the writing continued till 1926, that is 4 years before Conan Doyle's death. It means that Conan Doyle had died in 1930. That's what means here. Next, just as now we will see, this is all about the introduction of the character, how it was once it was brought, then it was stopped, then it was brought back again. Now we will see why it was famous, why the character of Sherlock Holmes is known to be so famous. Let's see. Just as Holmes' powers of observation and deduction never fail, he had a great capacity of reasoning, of observing. He had a great observation power. Sherlock Holmes we are talking about, he had a great power of observation and deduction. Deduction means reasoning. Okay, so that's why the love that readers have for him has not dimmed in the 127 years since his first appearance. So since the time when it appeared, okay, since the time the character of Sherlock Holmes had appeared, since then till 127 years has passed, till now the character of Sherlock Holmes has not dimmed. It has not faded. The importance, the quality, the fame which the character of Sherlock Holmes had gained since his first appearance, it has not dimmed yet. It has not faded yet. People have not forgotten him. Okay, it has still continued to remain in everybody's memories, and everybody still admired the character of Sherlock Holmes, his power of observation, his deduction skills, his reasoning power, everything. And now we will also see that how influential, if you understand what is the meaning of influential, then it means that what kind of importance did it have, that it proved to be useful for other people also. In what way? Let's see that. So Holmes' character has been adapted and reinvented for television and film for a record of 254 times. Now Sherlock Holmes' character was such famous, it was so useful that it has been adapted and reinvented. Not only the character of Sherlock Holmes was taken as a help, okay, for this cinema, television and all these things, but not only taken as an help, but it was reinvented, or you can say that some changes were made. Everybody will not use in the same way. They might have made any changes according to their storyline, and so in that way the help of the character of Sherlock Holmes was taken for a record of 254 times. And that is not enough. It was even, the character of Sherlock Holmes is even played by 75 different actors. So you just imagine, if 75 different actors are performing the role of Sherlock Holmes, then in how many cinemas or in how many movies and television programs it might have been adapted. Okay, so that maybe widens up our imagination skill to just think about this matter, that how important or how useful the character, or how much fame the character of Sherlock Holmes had gained. And even if that is not enough for you, even if you can't imagine that if Sherlock Holmes was important or not, then there is some more for you. That is the International Exhibition of Sherlock Holmes, organized by, that is a program, okay, the International Exhibition of Sherlock Holmes, that is organized by the Conan Doyle Estate and the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. This was an organization which had organized this program, and through this they allowed Holmes fans to apply his methods of deduction to solve a case. There might be many people who are who because in this kinds of this kinds of cases where the detectives or this adventure thing or this secret kinds of activities which happen, just for example, take the story of Feluda, okay, the mask, where nobody could guess or have any suggestion, or they could not find out the culprit. So in those kinds of cases, these kinds of cases if happened in real life, so in that case people could take the help of Sherlock Holmes ideas to solve their case. Okay, that is what is said here. And also, those who fail need not worry. If they failed somehow to solve any case, they did not have to worry, because there is a wealth of information to be gained from the practices and techniques that Doyle created for Holmes, which revolutionized police work for all time. And not only the detectives are gaining from that, but the police also. Okay, not only the detectives are following Sherlock Holmes ideas to solve any case, but in the initial stages when the police, okay, they are involved in this kinds of case to solve any such incident. Okay, so in that case the police also use the help of not use the help, sorry, they use the ideas, the reasoning power of, or the techniques that Sherlock Holmes was shown to be using in the stories of Arthur Conan Doyle. Now while I say this thing, if you have heard me properly, then it should make you realize that whatever we are talking about, no doubt we are talking about Sherlock Holmes. Throughout the whole chapter we have talked about Sherlock Holmes, but as I told you in the very beginning of the story, that Sherlock Holmes was just a character. He was just a fictional character. Okay, and the creator of Sherlock Holmes was actually Arthur Conan Doyle. That means the writer or the character which is shown to be performing all those activities, the ideas, the techniques, whatever is shown that Sherlock Holmes is following in the stories, okay, those are actually the ideas of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. That's why Sherlock Holmes creator he is named. Sherlock Holmes is not a live person. That means by that we can we can finalize, or we can come to a conclusion that whatever techniques, whatever ideas are till today, okay, used to solve any case, or the help of Sherlock Holmes ideas which are taken, those are actually not belonging to Sherlock Holmes. If you think properly, then that actually refers to the ideas of Arthur Conan Doyle, because he was the writer of the stories where the character of Sherlock Holmes is portrayed, it is shown, it is depicted. And because see, if anybody is suppose Sherlock Holmes is a person, he is so famous, okay, he is a brilliant detective. Now if that has to be known to us, that has to be presented, otherwise how we are going to know, right? So the basic thing here is the character is created by Arthur Conan Doyle, and the ideas are actually belonging to Arthur Conan Doyle himself, not Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is actually shown to be doing all that. I hope you are clear with this. If you have any doubt, please go through the chapter once again. If you have any doubt, then you can ask me, and if any doubts need to be cleared, then we'll do it in our live class. Okay. So that's all for today. Thank you.